Good morning. On Saturday, the New York Times published a, quote, expose of things this audience already knew. Our military and the CIA, seduced by the damn satanic modern British financier cabal, yet again, were running the Ukraine war and directly attacking Russians on Russian soil. Despite the fact that I mostly knew most of this, I found it extraordinary, chilling, and very, very frightening. Donald Trump is not exaggerating when he says they were close to nuclear war if he can't get a satisfactory peace deal in Ukraine. Now, today, the former nation state called France banned Marine Le Pen, who is leading in all polls, from running in the next election to be president. The court sentenced her to 4 years in prison for misappropriating funds from the globalist European Union for the use of her populist party. That is, according to the probable fake verdict. If she did that, which is doubtful, it was a righteous act. The French thus followed the Romanians. The Romanian courts just ruled that the leading populist candidate can't run in their elections. Faced with a citizenry that would vote the wrong way, in their view, the European elites are simply canceling elections, just like Zelensky did in Ukraine. Isn't it now more clear than ever where the actually fascist and dictatorial Biden administration, who wrapped themselves in the embrace of these fascist European oligarchs, were leading us? All of it under the false flag of protecting democracy from Donald Trump and his MAGA movement. Tomorrow is Tariff Day, or American Liberation Day, as President Trump calls it, as he drives to get America into the productive mode of existence again, and the labor force both upskilled and well paid to build at the necessary now warp speed our future. It's this drive to bring our industries home, to make capital goods and newer, higher forms of energy again, to build modern infrastructure, exploiting breakthrough future scientific and technological platforms, which is transforming our nation's role in the world and is the main dynamic driving world events today. Their order is dying, but still fighting. You need to understand this and fight for us. I'm Barbara Boyd, and this is your Monday Brief. First, on war and peace. The New York Times expose about the Ukraine war is very long and tedious, yet it shows step by step how the Biden administration and the British seduced the suckers and incompetence of the American political and military establishment into a direct confrontation with Russia, coming within inches of nuclear confrontation which would end this world itself. This danger still exists in the form of the mental state of the brainwashed European elites, who now propose occupying Ukraine and continuing the war against Russia in America's place. For those of you who are still confused about the role of the modern British financial empire, I've written a lot about it, but I'll say today that Franklin Roosevelt nailed it when he rebuked Winston Churchill after World War II, saying that he would never let the British drag the United States into yet another war after they dragged us into World Wars I and II. That conversation is discussed in Elliot Roosevelt's book As He Saw It. Roosevelt, of course, died, and that resolve went out the door with Harry Truman. We have been dragged into war after war until, that is, Donald Trump. The absent president, Joe Biden's crew, through strategic incompetence, arrogance, and pure stupidity, escalated this tendency into a near collision between the world's two nuclear powers, the most prolific nuclear powers, that is. There's lots of other nuclear powers. As usual, the British led from behind, having all the key contacts and files on the Ukrainian vassals who were the toy soldiers playing in an Anglo-American war game, which ended up destroying Ukraine, killing most of the soldiers, and still could obliterate the human race. The New York Times discusses how we set up a center in Wiesbaden, Germany, right after the special operation from Russia started in 2022, and then proceeded to dictate, for the most part, all the strategies and kill targets for the war, including targets inside Russia. To avoid accountability, Russian kill targets were called instead places of interest in American and British instructions. People should read this piece and then put themselves in Putin's shoes reading it, because it is not new to the Russians. Their intelligence and surveillance knew about most of it throughout the war, yet did not go to the nuclear option, which the Anglo-Americans seemed intent on provoking. There is, of course, a major fallacy in the piece in that it only starts in 2022. It does not discuss the 2014 British-U.S. coup through the USAID, the Institute for Peace, and the National Endowment for Democracy, all of which are being dismantled by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. It does not discuss the constant eastern expansion of NATO, which is the cause of this war. With respect to Europe's apparent desire to commit suicide, their economies are failing. They killed them by abandoning advanced sources of energy over time and abandoning the role of human beings in this world to promote the general welfare and build healthy and prosperous and expanding societies, substituting instead a belief system which worships lower forms of life and feudal modes of existence. You see, that's so much easier to control. The European elites are riddled with the deadly Malthusian cultural edicts and perverse sexual cults. They now say they will adopt Joe Biden's recipe of massive defense and war spending, coupled with huge government expenditures, to continue their economic existence. They warn their populations now daily to prepare for war with Russia, including nuclear war. While the population revolts and demonstrates, they don't have our Constitution to guide their governments. They gave up their sovereignty as nation states with the formation of the European Union. J.D. Vance is absolutely right when he portrays them as a national security threat to our nation, and Donald Trump is right in trying to build a Pax Americana, a new one, and a defensive shield in the Western Hemisphere. Now, on Saturday, Brian Lenz gave you a peek at what a productive country here can look like if Trump's policies are implemented. I urge you to watch this class. It will embolden you to get out and organize for this future. If you compare it to what our enemies have to offer, you will find out why, before Trump, you were so depressed and feeling helpless. It will take patience to restore a productive economy and labor force. The stock market of machine trading and gambling will suffer spells as it deflates for its overpriced bubble. But the future, if we create it under the American system principles which Trump is using, is very bright indeed. Go to Brian's class from Saturday and watch it. This week, the Defense Department will present its view of missile defense, as mandated by one of Trump's first executive orders in January. In conjunction, the energy sector is being mobilized to explore new frontier and very advanced forms of energy development in nuclear energy, including fusion. The first nation to develop this technology will have a huge lead in the economy of the entire world, since this energy source is completely transformative. Now, Elon Musk is also scheduled to go to the CIA this week to discuss its budget and operations with John Radcliffe. That also has the establishment clutching pearls. Imagine if all the black ops and compartments, which keep things from being evaluated and deliberated upon by the president, were to be dismantled and torn down, and that agency lost its perverse independence and black budgets. It is also any wonder why Elon Musk has become such an issue. First of all, he's a genius, and he's totally into inventing new and advanced forms of economy. That is always hated by our feral and backward elites. Huge demonstrations are being organized for April 5th throughout the country by the same people who orchestrated the coup against Trump and sought, like the French with Le Pen, to ban him from political life. They featured the slogan, hands off, whatever, hands off Social Security, a lie, hands off all sorts of other things, and discuss and instruct Donald Trump to keep their hands off. Among the things on the signs, ironically, at least those being displayed by the Portland group, is hands off my NATO. Wow. Could anything be a more significant disclosure that the current resistance, so-called, is nothing but a continuing color revolution front, waging a war against the Constitution of the United States, the American president, and the people? Hands off my NATO. If we are to win, you really have to understand Trump's American system economics, its history, and the British free trade imperial subversion, which we have experienced ever since the end of World War II. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1989-1990, we were told to suck it up, enjoy the porn and drugs and new entertainments of the New World Order, while a whole bunch of Wall Street and City of London bandits sold our future, outsourced our factories, outsourced our science, outsourced our manufacturing. That's what Donald Trump is now reversing. That's what tariffs are about. That's what this war is about. Susan will be with you again on Wednesday to give you an update. I'll see you again on Saturday for the Saturday wrap. We're in a war. You need to get to the ramparts, as they say, but with the knowledge and history which can make you an informed and actually efficient patriot. Go to Prom Action, join up, become a member, join the conversation. Thanks very much for listening.
Thanks for watching. Please take a moment and subscribe to our free newsletter at prometheanaction.com.